Well, here we are. Big Daddy Trump is coming home. Aren't you happy? It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. We're in one of those positions where you're going to learn today. I'm very fascinated to see how things play out because as with Trump, he said so many things to so many different people. Who knows what he's actually going to be about. But I'm actually not concerned really about Donald Trump. People think like people hate Trump. No, if you're smart, it's not about hating Trump. Trump is who he is. It's about the people he surrounds himself with, there's a bunch of nut jobs there. But I'm actually interested to see economically how things play out. Now, we saw, it's funny, like when you think back to Trump's first presidency, there was nothing spectacular about his presidency from an economic standpoint. Anybody who thinks so, I mean, again, people who don't know what they're talking about. Now, that being said, I mean, I don't blame COVID on him. I think he could have done a much better job of handling it. But again, as with many Republican presidents, their presidencies usually end in some type of recession, which Donald Trump's was no exception. But the things that I'm interested in are Ukraine. What happens there? Does he basically force some type of Russian-backed quote-unquote peace deal? Well, we'll see. But I think the funny part for Americans is they don't realize that, again, all of that money is not going to Ukraine. It's getting spent here on weapons development. So all of these companies, these large firms that are, getting these huge contracts, Raytheon, Boeing, Northrop, Lockheed, that, these people make good money, the people who work for them, and they'll be the first ones to take a big hit if anything happens with the status quo there. So we'll see. But also the funny part that I find interesting, particularly because obviously the stocking community is very conservative, is the whole tariff argument. Tariff them, tariff everything, make it here in America. Yeah, that's not how things work. I mean, first of all, like, if you know anything about how things work, you don't just tariff everything. And it's really funny because, most people, and particularly conservatives, right, don't like, big government, the man. And the funny part about that is that clearly shows that they don't understand the origin of income tax. The reason we have income taxes now is because of the time period that Donald Trump loves to talk about when there were high tariffs. It's comedy to me. Like when I think of the people who, talk about, yeah, let's tariff them. Let's make it in America. Let's tariff everything. That's exactly why we have the income tax now. It literally is the reason that we have the income tax, because it got so bad that they had to find another system to move to pivot to generate income for the government and get away from the tariffs, because it was basically destroying everything. So if you're ever interested in understanding why we have an income tax, it was exactly because of that, because of the tariff-driven revenue system that we had before, which was just a doomsday cycle for the economy. So not only was it a doomsday, cycle, but the tariff culture itself within the government created huge opportunities for corruption. So yeah, again, the people who think the way to stimulate the economy, or I don't know what the end game there is for people who think tariffs are a weapon of some sort, but it definitely never works out well. Now, if you caught one of my videos right before the election, I don't have too much time these days just because I work so much, but I was talking about how some of my friends who work for the unions. We're talking about how the unions were basically putting jobs on hold, like big projects they're working on that they weren't doing any work, to see which way the wind was going to blow with the election. And so now that they now that the election, Donald Trump has won the election, things are definitely in motion. Things are definitely changing. They're changing their projections for expenditure and work completion in anticipation of, potential tariffs. Now, we'll see if Donald Trump actually, does what he says. That's pretty rare. But if he does, again, expect that the economy will crater. the real economy. And so people will say, well, what does that mean? Now, again, they don't trust the numbers. They don't trust anything. GDP means nothing to the normal person. But what will mean something is when unemployment starts to really, really, jump up, because these companies are going to have to spend more on cost of goods. They're not going to have the money for labor. So cuts have to be made somewhere. Profit is the last thing that they're going to give up, and they'll gladly fire a few people and make the people who do work there work harder or for less money to, keep the status quo. So that's just how it's going to work. It's pretty interesting, but I'm here for it. I'm ready to see how it plays out, because the other thing is that's again interesting to me is that economically we were already slowing down. There's no doubt about it. This recession that economic ninja and all the other hacks we're talking about since 2022 never came. Why? Because again, the consumers were out there spending money hand over fist, making up for lost time with the pandemic. But now that we're here, consumption's already slowed. And so whoever took office next, whether it was Kamala Harris or whether it was Donald Trump, they are going to deal with recession. There's no doubt about it. Both of them are, and it had nothing to do with the politics of it. They're both going to be dealing with, a recessionary environment. Now, add tariffs on top of that, it's good luck. Good luck with that. But it's actually interesting because, with Trump, I feel a lot of people just are uninformed. But also, I find it funny when people vote against their own interest. Now, the really ironic part about that is myself, Donald Trump, by all means, his policies would benefit me. Why? Because income-wise, I am in the thresholds that Republicans typically benefit from. So, that's fine with me. If you want to, make me pay less, by all means. By all means. It's definitely not going to hurt me. Even recession, I work in an industry that's pretty recession-proof. And so that kind of thing, it's interesting to me. Even now, what I'm thinking is, as far as stacking, I wonder to myself, how does that, how would tariffs or that type of environment, affect even basic things like, bullion, imported bullion. I have no idea. I wouldn't even, think. I wonder, is that a segment that would get targeted for tariffs? Would it be blanket tariffs on pretty much everything? Who knows? Who knows? Now, I do think, at some point, especially if things start to get a little tighter around the belt, just again, aside from the politics, things slow down. Would prices of bullion go back down, to the 20s somewhere? Maybe. But also, again, with interest rate policy, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with gold. Gold, I mean, the price has come, more than double from pre-pandemic. So, I mean, from a couple years before pre-pandemic, so maybe 2017, 2016. It's had a big jump. And so, getting back down to those levels, probably not going to happen. But I mean, the other thing is, with the way things are right now, does it become more important to stack or less important to stack? I'm interested from the Trump people's standpoint, what are you thinking as far as metals? What do you, is it important? From what I understand, Trump was going to, drive the economy into high gear. Well, if that's the case, it's not going to be for bullion, right? You need to sell it all and get into stocks or, something that's going to, or crypto, because apparently he's big on crypto. No, he's not. But the guy doesn't even know what crypto is. Let's be real. But, he's big on telling the crypto bros that he is. So I'm interested. I'm totally interested. I'm ready for it. But the great part for me personally is, monetarily, I'm positioned to take advantage of whatever starts to collapse, whether it's real estate, whether it's bullion, whether it's stocks, whether it's, that's great for me, more for me to spend that money on, all of that different stuff. And so I'm here for it, regardless of who would have taken office. Like I said, the economy, just the normal cycle was on the later end of the cycle. And so whoever was going to inherit that was going to have to deal with it. But I think, again, think of, for example, the stock market. The stock market, the biggest thing it doesn't like Doesn't care about bad news, doesn't care about good news, because those can be priced in. It doesn't like uncertainty. And Donald Trump, in a second term where there's no, guardrails, he can do whatever he wants. That is the definition of uncertainty. Again, it doesn't matter if it's good uncertainty or bad uncertainty. Think about the way to quantify that to yourself and say, well, what do you mean it doesn't matter if it's good news or bad news? What if he comes up with the greatest policies ever? The fact that you don't know what that is and can't price it in is the issue. It's not about whether it's good or bad. It's that fact that you can't price that in, an unknown. And the way to wrap your head around it is think about interest rate cuts. The rate cuts are a good thing, but even though we knew that they were coming at some point, the fact that the market doesn't know exactly when and by how much throws the market into fits. And so those kind of things, it is a good thing, but if the market doesn't get it in exactly the way it wants it, again, stupid things like that can have a big effect on the market. Now, again, I'm here for it. I'm interested. I like seeing, how things are approached from a different level. The tariffs would just be stupid. I mean, just be real with it. Own it. That would be a stupid idea. But Ukraine, honestly, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, if you're coming at it from the people on the left, they think that basically Trump's going to bend over for Putin and take it from him all day long. So we'll see if that actually happens. If not, give Donald Trump credit. I mean, I would. If he continued, or saw Ukraine through to restoring its borders, by all means. But we'll see what happens. And I'm here for it. I'm interested to see how these things play out. Aside from the politics, different take on the same situation. I mean, sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes it's not. But let's give him the benefit of the doubt and see how things go. I'm ready for it.